What up, YouTube Live? How's it going, everybody? Alright, let me double check real quick here before we move forward. Alright, we are live. Huh. That is interesting. Okay, I just finished watching Star Trek Discovery Season 3 finale, which was a welcome relief after what happened earlier today in Washington, D.C. Man, what a shit show over there in the East Coast, huh? So Star Trek Discovery Season 3 finale was a welcome escape, definitely. Here's the thing. Oh, by the way, before I move forward, before I go any further, again, this review is mainly for those of you, my fellow Star Trek Discovery fans, who have also watched today's episode. So there will be spoilers in this video because, as you know, any review of episodes that already air will have spoilers. That's just the way it is. Okay. What if you ask me, Rama? What do I think? What do I think of this finale episode, season 3 finale? How do I think about the way the story culminated? You know, regarding the burn and everything. Well, overall, I gotta say I didn't hate it, but I wasn't too crazy about it either. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. For one, well, the whole thing with Stamets, right? They made a big deal of it last week with Stamets, like, oh my God, you betrayed us, Michael. We went all the way to the future for you, and now you did me like this. You burned me. And then, of course, in today's episode, you saw that moment with Stamets and Admiral Vance, where Admiral Vance is like, yeah, Michael did the right thing, and Stamets like got angry. I was like, oh, not you two. Not you two. So, and then it never got resolved. The whole thing just never got resolved. And as you know, by the end of today's episode, when Michael got promoted to captain, and then you just see, kind of like a glimpse of Stamets, like, he looks like he's not happy about it, but he looks like he just accepts it, I'm like, but we don't see that. We don't see the in-between. So I felt like the fact that they neglected to resolve that whole Stamets situation, that bothers me. I was like, that's not some good writing on your part, Star Trek. Star Trek Discovery. So that's definitely one. If you tell me like, oh, maybe they're saving it they're saving it for next season. Maybe in season 4 we're gonna see more of Stamets. Maybe Stamets still holding a grudge by then, still holding resentment against Michael, for what happened. Maybe they're gonna, cover that next season. Then that wouldn't be wise. They should have done it this episode. By the way, this episode runs about 1 hour long. Like, not the normal 54 minutes. It's like freaking 1 hour and a few minutes. It's that long. And I'm like, surely, you can't squeeze in Stamets resolve somewhere at the end, with the other montage, or in addition to the montage. I don't know. I can go on and on and on about that, but that really, really bugs me. But let me get through my other bullet points here. Let's start with Kelpian, Sukal, and the burn. I know that's like the big overarching arc. I probably should have left that for the best for last kind of thing, but I wanna just get that out of the way first. So Sukal, I think I've mentioned this to you before, that Sukal is a bit of a simple-minded. I thought he was kind of like Sloth from the Goonies, but clearly not exactly. He's more like, if you've seen this show called Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, there's a character there named Ben who's just scared of everything, like just so frightened, like a frightened little shit. And that's what Sukal reminds me of. So he's not necessarily simple-minded like Sloth from the Goonies, but more like Ben from Camp Cretaceous, where Sukal seems like, oh my god, I'm scared, I'm terrified, of the outside. This right here is all I know, and of course a lot of that has to do with PTSD and whatnot. But the overall theme of today's episode, or the finale, is very cliched. You are not alone. We can make connection. Very, very basic theme. And I think the way the storyline goes for Sukal is also pretty simple. Again, it has to do with trauma. The whole burn thing has to do with his environment, with the program, and how he dealt with his mother's death. It's very psychological, and I'm just glad, to me, even though I'm not too big a fan of Sukal's storyline, I'm glad that it allows for us to see actor Doug Jones in his human face instead of playing Kelpian Saru. So for these couple of episodes that we got to see that, despite Sukal's storyline and the origin of the burn being so too weak, if I may say so, I'm glad that at least these couple of episodes we get to see Doug Jones be Doug Jones. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, and I gotta say that I don't know about you guys, but I am so done with the storyline of the burn arc. I am so done with that. I don't want to go into season 4 and still have to hear about the burn again. I was like, no more, please. I don't want to hear about the burn anymore. Done. On this episode, the writers also seem to give Lieutenant Owosuken a time to shine, which is great. We don't really get to see a lot of the other bridge members or bridge crew members, other than, by that I mean like a time to shine. Like this season we got to see Detmer, right? In a couple of episodes, Detmer being frustrated, lashing out, and that's it, right? Other than Michael, Tilly, Saru, Hugh, and Stamets, the other ones don't really get to shine. And so the writers, for whatever reason, like, you know what? This is the episode where we're gonna let you see a little bit more of Owosuken, I should say. And I don't mind that at all. It's not that I'm not team Owosuken. I mean, I'm glad that they kind of spread the love a little around, share the love around with Owosuken. But here's what I take away from that. There's a part on this episode where Owosuken explains to the rest of the crew how she could conserve air or conserve her breath. And then she has a lengthy explanation about it, right? And then after that, a few moments after that, Michael sends a cryptic message to Tilly that only Tilly could understand. And then Tilly tells the rest of the crew, like, oh, I get that. That's for me. Let me tell you why that's for me. And then she explains it. Here's what I'm getting at. Okay, Owosuken explaining to the rest of them, why she can do what she does. And Tilly explains to the rest of them why Michael's message is just for her. They go off and on, and it's like, yeah, here's why. For at least half a minute. they go off on a tangent explaining it. And you know what? They could do that without Philippa Giorgio interrupting them. That's what crossed my mind when they were doing that. When Osuken and Tilly were each explaining their thing. It's like, something's missing here. There's no Philippa interrupting them. Because if Philippa was there among them, you know what she would have done, right? She would have like, is there a point to this? Can we get to the point, please? Like, she would cut Tilly, she would cut Owosuken. It's like, get to the point already. But Owosuken and Tilly, you know, being the kind of person that each of them are, like, they were like, let me tell you how it goes. Or let me explain it to you. Even though they're like running out of breath or running out of oxygen, they have to have that half a minute of explaining why the message is for her, or why, you know, Owosuken can do what she does, because that's the kind of people they are. You know, I'm sure the rest of the other crew members are just as nerdy as those two, but Philippa will be like, damn it, this is no time for storytelling, and just get to the point. So I kind of miss that about Philippa, the fact that Philippa's not around to interject basically and to cut in, and just because you know she would have done that. She totally would have done that if she had been there amongst the group. Let's talk about the fight scenes. I thought it was fantastic. It was action packed. It was pretty badass. But if you ask me, I would say that if you ask me which one's my favorite between the fight of Book versus Zare and Michael versus Osaira, I would say Book versus Zare fight was a lot more exciting by comparison, or compared to Michael versus Osaira. For one, I don't know about you guys, but I have this thing with heights. Not that I have like a phobia, like a full-blown fear of heights, but you know, the anything that heights related makes my palms sweat. You know, makes me nervous. You know, I've done skydiving, so that was one way of mine to battle my semi fear of height. But Book versus Zare in such a height, the fighting like that, and the fact that Zare got kicked out, you know, all the way down, you know, fall that from a height like that, it's like, oh, dude, you know, because that could have been Book, you know, instead of Zare. It's like, oh, and looking at that, you know, looking down like that, and they're punching each other to death. It's like, oh, I hope they don't fall. I hope they don't fall. My palms were sweating. As opposed to Osaira and Michael, I thought that was, it was all right. It was cool. It was well choreographed. You know, the whole thing. Oh my God, where did Michael go to into? It's like Michael comes out with, you know, with her gun, and she blasts Osaira, the Kingdom Come. It was great. It was played. It played out the way it should. But if you ask me which one's more exciting, hands down, Book versus Zare's fight was much scarier, or much more thrilling, in my opinion. Let's see. Do I get through all my bullet points? I think so. So before I get to my last bullet point, overall, again, it was okay. I enjoyed this finale, but it's not the best. I wouldn't call it the best finale ever, or I'm not totally in love with it. I mean, but I don't hate it either. So it's in the middle ground, if you will, how I feel about this finale. I'm just glad that, you know, hopefully we could close the door on the burn. I'm sick and tired of hearing the burn. And hopefully the writers can come up with another and much more intriguing mystery for season 4 than The Burn. And I'll end on this. I don't know about you guys, but I heard a rumor. Have you guys heard this? There's a rumor that Star Trek Discovery and Picard might move to Netflix. Is that true? I mean, is there some truth to that rumor? I know we have to take this with a grain of salt, but I mean, I read that on a blog somewhere. I think maybe a Star Trek fan blog, and he says along the lines of CBS All Access, as you know, they're changing their name to Paramount, not Paramount Network, Paramount something, and so they're changing their name to that. And in the process of making this change, they're reassessing all their original shows and their properties, and they're like, we're not making as many subscribers numbers that we like from Star Trek Discovery and Picard, and they see that, and they see the cost of making the shows, especially Picard, and the blog says Picard is about $10 million per episode. Holy crap, that's expensive. Jeez. I mean, Star Trek, the previous Star Trek installments, The Next Generation, Voyager, and Deep Space Nine, I don't think they were that expensive, Enterprise, but it's like $10 million per episode for Picard. And these shows, Discovery and Picard, they have 13 episodes per season. So yeah, that's a lot of money. And if you see today's episode, you could see why the visual effects, I think I've mentioned to you many times before, one thing, despite Star Trek Discovery's flaws or imperfection, the one thing that blows my mind about this show are the visual effects. The visual effects and the CG are fantastic. They're great. They look spectacular. They look like they spare no expense, literally, apparently, because it's that expensive. So CBS All Access, from the blog, it says CBS All Access are like, you know what? It's not worth it. Now, maybe it's not worth it is an over exaggeration, but they're saying basically, we gotta offshore some of this burden, by selling some of these episodes to streaming services like Netflix. And Netflix already houses Star Trek, The Next Generation, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, and I believe also Enterprise. So the blog says that CBS All Access will make it available for old episodes of Star Trek Discovery to be available to stream on Netflix, not necessarily the new one. So the show itself, Discovery and Picard, will not completely move to Netflix, but they're gonna have the old episodes available on Netflix for you to stream. But that's what I hear. That's the rumor out there. I don't know when that's gonna happen. Maybe I'm late to the party. Maybe you guys already heard this rumor. Maybe this is old news. And maybe the deal's already done. We don't know. Maybe it's not official yet. Maybe they haven't signed the deal yet between CBS All Access and Netflix. In any case, if those are the reasonings behind this possible sharing of episodes, not necessarily move completely, just sharing the old episodes on Netflix. In any case, the reasonings behind them, I think they're justified. They're justified. I mean, come on. I love, Star Trek Discovery, and I'm grateful for CBS All Access for housing it. But CBS All Access is like peanut compared to Netflix, right? Netflix is the giant, as far as streaming service goes. And now you have Apple TV Plus, you have HBO Max, you have Shudder, what else? All these things are popping up, right? New streaming service, Peacock from NBC. So all these competitors, and CBS All Access, I think, has canceled many of their new shows that only lasted one season. And then they just premiered The Stand, which is based on Stephen King. Guess what? I mean, I haven't heard any buzz about it since its premiere. Nobody's talking about it anymore. The episodes are still running. I mean, new episodes every week. But you don't hear like, oh my God, let's watch The Stand. You know, there's no same enthusiasm about The Mandalorian for CBS All Access shows. So they're running behind, man. They're getting left behind in that race. HBO Max used to be behind, but now HBO Max is gaining some momentum because of all the WB movies that are going to be released on the same day, theatrical release as those movies. So CBS All Access is like, you know what? We can't spend freaking $10 million per episode for these for these shows. We gotta think of streamlining it somehow, or dumping some of these episodes onto Netflix and make the deal with the giant somehow. But again, that's just rumor, okay? If you know any more details about that, let me know. I'm so curious. But I don't have any objection regarding the sharing or the move or semi-move, because I love Netflix and I still revisit the Next Generation episodes there, because I grew up with TNG, so it's awesome. Final note. Before I go. I just want to say that, or not say, I want to announce to you guys that on January 18th, I believe that's Michael. I was going to say Michael, I'm sorry. Martin. January 18th, I believe that's Martin Luther King Day. Yes, Monday. On January 18th, Martin Luther King Day, I will be interviewing, guess who? Let me give you a hint. Worf. That's right. I will be interviewing actor Michael Dorn. Right here on Ramascreen YouTube channel. On Zoom. He has a new independent movie that he's promoting. So his publicist like, hey, you want to talk to Michael Dorn, in promotion of his new film? I'm like, yeah, I want to talk to Michael Dorn. And you know what? I'm going to be asking him the Next Generation questions. Just a few fun TNG questions, in addition, of course, to talking about his new movie, because that'll be the big chunk. So stay tuned for that. Tune in for that, okay? I will be interviewing the one and only Worf, aka actor Michael Dorn, right here on Ramascreen YouTube channel. So tell all your fellow Star Trek fans about it. Get them to subscribe to this channel. Subscribe. It's gonna be fantastic. All right, I've been rambling for about 30 minutes now. So and it's right now it's about almost 1 a.m. in the morning, California time. So I'm gonna go to sleep. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. Share your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always, subscribe. Live long and prosper. I have been and always shall be your friend. Let's rock this.